Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Stitchflix, where we slow down and stitch something beautiful together. Today we're going to be learning the Trinity Stitch. If you can do a single crochet and a chain, then you can definitely do this stitch. Let's get started. You're going to need a weight 4 yarn. I'm using an anti-pill yarn from Hobby Lobby. You will also need a 5mm hook. You could do this with a 5.5 as well. The choice is yours. Today I'm using a 5mm hook. You'll need scissors and then a yarn needle just to weave in your ends after creating your swatch. So what you're going to do is start by making a slip knot and placing that on your hook. Then you're going to chain whatever number in multiples of 2. So to chain, you're going to yarn over, pull that loop through your hook. That is your first chain. Yarn over, pull through again, yarn over, pull through. Keep doing that in multiples of 2 until you have the size you want for your swatch. And I like to give a little reminder in this series because it's meant for beginners. So I've made a little chain here. The loop on your hook never counts as a chain. So all of these little V's you see here, let me lay this down so I can show you better. I'm going to zoom in real quick, but you can see these little V's. If you count those, you can figure out how many chains you have made. So let's count mine together real quick. We've got our first V, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I have 8 chains on my hook. I'm actually going to chain 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I have 12 chains, which is a multiple of 2. But for your starting chain, when you make the Trinity stitch, after you've got your multiples of 2, you're going to chain, you're going to add one more chain, and then make another chain, which will be our turning chain to start this first row. So in other words, I have 14 chains now. So to begin, you're going to skip the first chain, and you're just going to simply single crochet into the second chain from your hook. Now we're going to start our first Trinity stitch. So where you just made that single crochet, you're going to go in that same stitch again, pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to go into the next chain, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, and into the next chain, you're going to pull up the last loop. So you have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops, and then just chain 1. So that is our first Trinity stitch. Where you completed your stitch, you are going to do the same thing. You're going to repeat this stitch. This last chain we went into, we're going to go in there again to start our next Trinity stitch. So yarn over and pull through 2 loops. In the next, yarn over, pull through. And in the third, yarn over, pull through. 4 loops on your hook again, yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 1. Let's do another one together. So again, where we just finished our Trinity stitch, we're going to go back into that last spot, pull up a loop, and then in the next 2 chains, we are going to pull up 1 loop. 1, 2. Yarn over, pull through all 4 loops, chain 1. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, pull through all your loops, and chain 1. So we've got a few more to go before we're at the end of our row, so let's continue on. You're going to go in that last stitch, in the chain following it, and in the chain following that. Yarn over, pull through all 4, chain 1. So as you can see, I have 2 chains left, which means I am going to be making my last Trinity stitch of this row. So I'm going to go in the last one, in the chain following, and in the last chain. Pull up a loop in all 3. yarn over, pull through all loops on your hook. Do not chain one. This is the last stitch of the round, so we do not chain after it. After you've made your last Trinity stitch, instead of chaining one, you're going to single crochet in the last chain. So you've got your ending Trinity stitch and a single crochet in the same chain. After you've single crocheted, you can chain one and turn your work, and now we're going to repeat. And you can already see the fun little texture that is coming from our Trinity stitch. In the first stitch, you're always going to start the rows the same way. You're going to single crochet into the first stitch of the previous row, and then you're going to start your Trinity stitches again. So in that same space where we made a single crochet, you're going to pull up a loop, pull up a loop in the next stitch, and pull up a loop in the next. Some of them may be a little tight because that's where you chained one in the previous row, so just keep that in mind. Try not to miss those ones. Once you've got 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all, chain one. So keep going, making Trinity stitches. We're going to go in where we ended, pull up a loop, in the next stitch, pull up a loop, and in the next, pull up another loop. Yarn over, pull through all, chain one. So again, insert your hook, pull up a loop in the next, pull up a loop in the next. You've got 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all, and chain one. I'm going to just keep going down my row until I get to my last Trinity stitch. So you can see I still have 2 stitches left, so that means I have 1 Trinity stitch left. So I'm going to pull up a loop in the second to last stitch, and pull up a loop in the last. You may want to grab a stitch marker and put it in your last stitch just so you don't miss that. Yarn over, pull through, and instead of chaining, we are going to single crochet into the last stitch again. So that is our second row of the Trinity stitch. Chain one, turn your work, and we're going to keep going, but you can see the little pattern that's coming up. It looks very cute. They look like almost like half stars. I think the name Trinity Stitch is super cute. So in the first stitch, you're going to make 1 single crochet. You're going to go back in that stitch, pull up a loop in the next stitch, and pull up a loop in the next stitch. Yarn over, pull through all, and chain one. That is our first. I'm going to continue on down, and when I get to the end, I will show you what to do. Okay, so I've just made my last Trinity stitch of the row, and I am going to single crochet now into that last space. And I just want to add that when you make your chains after the Trinity stitch, try to chain a little bit loose. I noticed mine were kind of hard to get my hook into, so I just wanted to note that for those of you who may crochet tightly to begin with. I know I do, so I'm trying to be aware of making my chains just a little bit more loose so that my hook can easily get into them. So I'm going to keep crocheting until I've got about a square size little swatch, and then I will show you what it looks like and we can fasten off together. So a few things I wanted to note that I thought of while I was crocheting my swatch is for the Trinity stitch, essentially every time you make a Trinity stitch, you are basically just single crocheting 3 stitches together, if you think about it. That's an easier way to kind of explain it. Maybe it would help some people understand a little bit better, but that is basically what you're doing. And then when you start and end a row, you will always have a single crochet. So you will start with a single crochet and you will end with a single crochet as well. Those are just some little things I thought of while I was sitting here crocheting, and I wanted to note them. I thought maybe it might help some of you understand this a little better if you are struggling. If not, great. But like I said, as long as you can do single crochets and chains, you have got this down. And look at that cute little texture. I love it. So cute. So I think I'm going to do one more row and then I'm going to show you how I fasten off. All right, so I just finished my last row for my swatch and I'm going to cut my yarn. And then I'm just going to chain one, pull it tight, and then I just grab a needle, thread it through, and I don't do anything fancy. Whoops. I hate when that happens. I don't do anything too fancy when I weave in my ends. I just hide them as best as possible. So I'm going to turn mine around and just go in this row I just made and just hide it behind some of those stitches. And this is just a swatch, so I don't need to try too hard, but at the same time, I still don't want it to be noticeable. So I'm just going to go, might be easier to go in and around because of the shape of the stitches, but that's good enough for me. Like I said, mine is just a swatch. So this is a great size right now, actually, for just a little coaster. I have a cup sitting here, so I thought, why not? So, little coaster, if you wanted. I would have made it bigger if that's what I was intending to make it for, but just thought I'd show you that. So that is our Trinity stitch. I think it's so pretty. I love it. I love the texture. This would be really good to use for like scarves, maybe with a bigger hook so that it's more drapey. You can make a book sleeve, a bandana for your pet. I love making like little dog bandanas. What else? A blanket. This would look really nice as a blanket, and you could alternate the color every 2 rows to give it a little bit more of a pop. But yeah, that's the end of the Trinity Stitch tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed this Stitchflix episode. And if you have a stitch that you'd like to see me work on, leave it down below in the comments. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Bye.